Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sophiology. I am your host, Sophiacianciulli. Welcome to my channel / podcast where I talk about all things that are spirituality and growth and my journey through life with spirituality and sobriety and friendship and relationships and all of the things that are encompassed through this beautiful journey of life. I talk about it here. So I'm very excited about this episode. I literally ran home from Pilates because I was super excited to talk about it, which sounds so like, what year is it? 2024 of me to say, but I did. I've been on my Pilates grind. But so this has been on my heart the last couple of days because I have not wanted to make a podcast. I have not wanted to record myself. I have not wanted to post on social media. I've taken the fucking ants. There's red ants and I knew they would bite me and I tried to be all like grounded and they're biting me. So anyway, I have to sit on my knees now because I'm not going to let it ruin the video, and I'm wearing a gown. So anyway, today's episode I've decided to title My Guide to Getting Exactly What You Want. And I knew that was going to happen. That's okay, we keep going. So I went back and forth on what I wanted to call this and how I wanted to narrate this little guide that I came up with. But essentially, long story short, in the course of a year, my life has changed tremendously in terms of like physical. I have a house. At the beginning of the year, I was sleeping on a couch. The beginning of the year, I was in rehab. The beginning of the year, for the second time, the beginning of the year, I was going back and forth in this relationship that was horrible for me and my mental health. I had no self-worth, no standards. Friendships were, and that's not to say none, but we were working on it. Losing people left and right. I couldn't express myself. My stuff was scattered all over. I didn't have a set place to call my own that was safe. I was unemployed. I was struggling, and I would say now I've quadrupled my income that I had from my last career. I have multiple streams of income. I have walked away ruthlessly from the things that do not serve me, that do not benefit me, that are taking from me freely, the things that I was freely giving, which we'll talk about. But my relationship with myself now and the things that I have in life is so different, so wildly, I can't sit on my knees, that's ridiculous. But it's so wildly different and has transformed so much. And I have been able to sit here and say I have everything I've wanted. Not everything, because I still have big goals. I still want all of these things, and I have a big vision board of it. And of course, it's always subject to change because we're human beings. And the best part of the journey is just being content with where you are, and I really am. But on that excursion of getting to a place where I really am content with where I am, it was being content with where I was then, but being really realistic with myself. And like I said before, being ruthless. So I kind of have come up with / downloaded this guide. And when I say downloaded, it's like I kind of woke up and it was just kind of coming to me. But it's a very concise and boiled down version of a formula that I think I've done. Well, not that I think, I know that I've done, but that I think can apply to anybody. And I think that if you utilize this guide and just take, each thing with a grain of salt, and every single little bullet point that I have has options so that you can kind of curate these things to work for you in your life in the way that you see fit. I really think I know you'll be able to get whatever you want because I did it. And I truly created the reality that I have now, where I have a home, where I have like I said, a career that's making me quadruple the income, multiple streams of income. I'm just happy. I'm happy and I'm free and I'm content with myself. And I'm in a creative mode. Like the energy that I have to create is beyond abundant. And the bad days are few and far between, and even when there are bad moments, I use them as a leap pad, which is what this even begins with. But I've created all of it out of nothing. Like I said, I always believed in myself and I always had confidence, which is something, and I have a thick skin, and I know that anything bad that's happening is fuel and really exciting, because anything bad that's happening is sure to follow with something positive and beautiful and great if you believe it too. Or you can just stay stagnant and stuck forever. I know people like that too. So whatever, it's your choice. But if you're watching this, I'm sure you do want whatever you can have, whatever is there for us. Because at the end of the day, we're creating all of this with God, but God has given us the authority and the autonomy to create. And so this is my little guide to creating whatever you want. Also at the top, I wrote, these are some little sentences. These were like alternative titles, but they're way too long. But they also could be, it's all encompassing what this is. But I said, nothing is wrong. You're more limitless than you can conceive. And my point in that is that a lot of times we get caught up in thinking, like how I said, I came from a negative place, right? Like I had a drinking problem. I had really bad attachment issues to the wrong people and the wrong places. I was really comfortable in my discomfort. I was walking everywhere. I didn't have a car. I took the bus, and no one took the bus where I was from. And I didn't have a job. I couldn't keep a job. I was making barely enough to survive. And all of my ideas were always just that. They were just ideas. And anytime I felt myself suffering within me, I knew that that suffering was a catalyst for more. But I didn't always know exactly how to do it. So that was where my trust in God came in, because I had let God do it, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But again, God gives us the authority to have somewhat of a say in what we create. And so through that process, I started being really deliberate about what I wanted to create, instead of just being like down for whatever, because being down for whatever, it's great for your growth for the time being if you need that. But once you learn certain lessons and they repeat themselves enough, you start to recognize, you're like, I want nothing to do with this. I actually want a lot more for myself. And you know, in discovering self-concept work and in discovering just more and more layers of inner work that's possible to be done, I really started to recognize I deserve a lot more than what I'm settling for right now. And even though I believe in myself and I know that better can happen, it's like, what is that better? So we're a lot more limitless, and you know, we're all different for what it is that we want in our lives. And some of it's conditioning. Some of us are perfectly content, which is beautiful, with and I also want this, is just like, I'm perfectly happy with having a beautiful family and, you know, having great relationships in my, that's what I want. That's what everybody wants and needs, is beautiful relationships in your life, and having a family that you love and that you take care of and that takes care of you. And you know, you're perfectly content with having a job that makes you happy and makes you enough income to support your family and support yourself. You know, some of us are happy with just time in nature. I'm perfectly content with ample time in nature. Some of us, our luxuries and our desires in life are freedom and free time. Some of us want a lot of money. Some of us want, you know, we have big dreams of being singers and being on stage, and we see these flashing lights with our name. And some of us, you know, we have more artistic and creative goals. You know, you want to create an album. That's me. I've been working on it for so long. But you want to create an album. Some of us, you know, you want to be able to wear what you want. There's a plethora of dreams that you can have, right? And so I'm really simplifying it right now, but there's so many things that you can want and desire for yourself. But I would encourage you to ask yourself, like, when I was 5 to maybe like 10, what did I dream of doing? Like, what did I like doing on a daily basis? What did I like to play with? For me, I loved to read. I've always loved to read. I've read a lot of books, and I loved music. And I would like call my family and leave them voicemails, and I would sing Hollow Back Girl on their answering machine. And like, I just remember being at family parties singing with my little Barbie microphone. Like, I was a ham. I always have been a ham. I always will be a ham. And you know, I always knew I was meant to be in some degree of spotlight. And that's not to be cocky. I just know where I came alive. I knew where I came alive. I knew where I was capable of inspiring other people, was with my fearlessness in that area, because a lot of people are afraid, and that's totally normal. And I still get afraid, but you know, I say that to say that was always what excited me. And I would always come home and I would just have my little, like, I would be like 11 or 12, and my dad got me like an iPod Nano, and I had like my earbuds in by myself in my room at night, and I would just be sitting there and like jamming out to my iPod Nano to like Hannah Montana or whatever I was listening to. What did I hear recently that was on there, and I had totally, it was like a Pitbull song, but whatever. So I would just jam out in my room, or like even younger than that, I'd be in my backyard swinging on our swings, singing at the top of my lungs, singing songs that I made up. And then I would go to the bus stop and the moms would be like, "We heard you singing," and I would be so embarrassed. But I say that to say, ask yourself, think about it, reflect, like, what did I like as a little kid? And that kind of helps you get in tune with that limitlessness, because if you had no limitations, that's what little you thought. Little you was like, I have big dreams and I can accomplish anything, because you didn't have any. I mean, of course, we all have been through stuff growing up, but you know, your dreams weren't crushed yet. If you had a decent childhood, your dreams weren't crushed yet. And so that really can help you tune into that feeling of limitlessness and that feeling of creation, because when you're little, all you can think about is like, I want this and I'm gonna have it. So that's my advice. And so that kind of came up the other day, because I felt way more tapped into the feelings of being limitless, of being a creator, of getting to experience whatever I want to experience, because it's possible, because I live in a world where other people have done it, so why can't I? And a lot of us forget that. And of course there's a journey, hence my list, but of course there's a journey to getting there. But I just want you to remind yourself of that feeling of being limitlessness. And you know, this is another step in what I'm going to get to. I haven't even said what I have to say yet, but you know, it's visualizing, it's affirming. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to talk about it. But so, you know, I say that to say, generate that feeling inside of yourself. And I also said that this is a simple formula for transmuting undesired circumstances. So this is also a formula for getting yourself out of a situation that doesn't make you happy, out of a situation where you're not feeling secure in yourself, where you're not feeling confident, where you're not feeling like you're being reciprocated in the way that you deserve, where you're not being compensated in the way that you deserve, where, you know, you're kind of surviving, you're kind of making it work, but it's not for you. It's not making you happy. It's not your dream. You know, you're in an in-between, and that's beautiful. Like, that is life. We are going to have so many situations that don't make us happy, where we suffer, because it's part of our growth, and it's part of our connection to ourselves and to the process, and it's part of why we're here on earth, is to suffer to a degree. But you can accomplish so much more than you could even fathom if you just have a little faith in yourself. And so this is also a formula just for transmuting and overcoming certain things that are roadblocks to you, because sometimes we're in a situation and the hardest part is like being able to comprehend a way out. And so this also, in very basic terms, non-spiritual terms, it's just like, this is a way to get yourself out of a situation that's not good or not healthy or not making you happy. So that's where I'm beginning. So let me tell you my step one. So step one is acceptance. And I'll read you what I wrote, and then I will, you know, top it off. But I wrote, accept where you're at, accept what has happened, what you're feeling, and take it all at face value. So when I say that, it's like wherever you are in this very, very moment, whatever situation you're experiencing, whatever relationship you're experiencing, you know, whatever your home life looks like, whatever your financial life looks like, whatever your friendships look like take that really, really literally, and just accept it and understand this is where I am. You're not fighting it. You're not trying to even change it at this moment in time. You're just simply saying, this is where I am, and that's totally cool. And then my second little blurb is to feel it, cry, rage it out, like be really understandably emotional about your circumstances, because, you know, even if it's your fault, and a lot of it is, most of it's our own fault, but, you know, I say that to say, give yourself the space to feel. And it always makes me think about what Beyonce says, because what did she say? I don't really love Beyonce, no offense, but I have my own opinions. But she said, like, give yourself 24 hours. If you're sad, like, you give yourself 24 hours to feel sad or whatever, and then you got to gangster it out. And that's so true, because we let our emotions dictate us way more than we should. We let our emotions kind of they're a great guiding light. They're a great barometer for where we're at. They're a great, you know, example of what's not working or what is working, or, you know, a feeling that we have that needs to be nurtured. It's great in that aspect. But beyond that, it kind of starts to become like a crutch or something that we lean into. And I'm an artist and I'm a singer and I'm a writer. And so when I say these things, I love to be emotional. I love to be sad because it's great fuel for those things. But I am notorious for staying in certain feelings for way longer than I need to. And then it turns into something that it doesn't need to be. And so I say this to say, like, catch yourself before it turns into something it doesn't need to be, because feelings are fleeting. So give yourself the time and space to feel it about the situation that you're in, that you want to change, or, you know, because sometimes we don't always think that we have something we want to change. Sometimes you just want something, but you want that thing because you feel like you're lacking something. And so say you want like a new house, or you want like a new apartment, or whatever, you want this thing. You want that because you don't really like where you are at this moment. So coming to terms, or like you want this relationship, you want this marriage, you know, there's so many things. You want this job. You want those things because you either don't have it or you just aren't happy with what you have at this moment. So that's why I say, like, full acceptance with it. And some of it, you don't really need to have like this emotional fit about it, but some of it, if you're really not happy and, you know, you've been kind of settling or surviving for a long time, you do have repressed emotions, and it would be ideal for you to feel those out, and it would be beneficial for you to feel those out, and then it would be even more beneficial for you to feel it, and you will feel so free. And then afterwards, you really have more of a capacity to create. And so at the end of that, I say, whatever. Then you begin the phase of non-reactivity. So now you're in this point of time where, again, you feel kind of calm, so you no longer are, hopefully, if you fully allowed yourself to feel, where you're no longer being really, oh my God, my foot fell asleep, where you're no longer being, you know, reactive or emotional about the situation. You've gotten it out. That's the idea. That's the point of having that emotional space, because you're trying to get out the residue that's within you that's blocking you from receiving the things that you want to receive, from getting whatever you want, right? Hence the name. It no longer can upset you, and it's fuel to better you. So that's what I said before about like the negative things always being fuel for you too. Sorry, I have to readjust because my feet are falling asleep. But it really does turn into an opportunity if you let it. Everything's an opportunity if you let it be, but it's fuel. And hopefully that's what we're working with right now, is we're transmuting and we're transforming the things that we don't like and allowing them to teach us the lessons that they need to teach us where we may have not made the wisest decisions, teach us where we may have settled, and start really going after that limitless feeling, chasing our dreams, going after, you know, more of what it is that we really desire and see for ourselves. And so at the end of this, I write, begin combing through, releasing, and removing. So this is where the ruthless part comes in, because this is what I did. And when I tell you, my whole life changed so fast when I got serious about it. Because I've always known energetically, you can't move with one foot in and one foot out. That's like, I got sober at 21 years old. And I'm 26 now, but I first got sober when I was 21. I stayed sober for 3 years. And then I had my bouts of back and forth. But, because I'm young, but I understood the power in fully cutting myself off from the things that are damaging me or in getting in the way of me experiencing what I want to experience. And alcohol was that for me, because alcohol was a crutch. Alcohol was a distraction. Alcohol was the most important thing in my life. It mattered more than anything, and I would have gotten it just by anything, and I was humiliated. Even at that age, I knew that my relationship with alcohol was super unhealthy, and everyone else knew, and I knew that I had to walk away from it if I wanted to be better. What do you know? My life's a windfall of blessings after that. Everything wonderful's happening, and I'm talking. Everything wonderful is happening, and beautiful things. Are you fucking serious? Sorry. Oh my God, I'm not gonna get monetized because I cussed. But everything wonderful has happened. Thank you. He's gone now. So anyway, everything wonderful had happened because I quote unquote sacrificed or cut off or removed the thing that wasn't working for me. So it's very cut and dry. Remove the things that aren't serving you. And so this last year, like I said, I went to rehab again because I kind of knew it wasn't serving me and I wanted to play with it and see if I could kind of develop a healthy relationship. And I hadn't gotten there yet, and I was in a really, really just not healthy part of my life, and I had tried cutting off and removing a relationship that I knew wasn't good for me because I wasn't getting what I wanted. I was not being treated with the respect that I deserved. I wasn't being given the commitment that I deserved, like whatever. I wasn't getting what I wanted, and I was sitting there trying to make it work, and it was never gonna work, so I had to remove it ruthlessly, and that was a process. But once I finally did remove it, suddenly it was like my whole life changed for the better. And so really your first step in creating any of these things is you need to weed out the stuff that is not working. Get really clear what's not working. You need to weed it out. You have friendships that are, I don't know, because I have great friends and I've always had great friends, but there's definitely been scenarios that I've been in that I realized I was kind of just friends with people for, and this is being really honest, I was friends with people for convenience. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that. You don't want to be alone, you're lonely, you're in a situation that you don't like, so that's kind of like your solace, that's all you have. Just stop spending your time and your energy in places that are not benefiting you, that are not helping you grow, that you leave, you feel drained. Stop, enough, do better, and really choose better, That's why you're here. But that's my first step, is remove all of it, accept where you're at, and then we're going to begin the process of changing it. So part 2, because I really don't want this to be way too long. Part 2 is vision is birthed. And it is, because suddenly, I write this because I'm a poet, suddenly there's an empty space. And there is, because when you remove things, this is why I didn't want to do this outside, because there's too much stuff going on, but whatever, we're here now, so it doesn't matter, and I'm not doing this again. So suddenly there's an empty space, and when you remove these things, a lot of times, I just had a conversation with a friend about this the other night, because I get it. I think we've all been there, right? Like, you break up with somebody, but you're still, and you do it, or even if they broke up with you, whatever, and you still find yourself thinking all the time, like, but it was so, no, it's usually worse when you're the one that's doing it, because that's where this conversation comes from. But you break up with somebody, but then suddenly you're like, was it that bad? I miss them, I miss that. And instead of filling this new part of your life, this new opening, this new space that you've created intentionally, instead of filling it with newness and really kind of just challenging yourself to hope for better and understanding that sacrifice is worth it, because it's at the expense of you getting to experience more than you were in that moment, and getting to experience better because you know and love yourself enough to know that you deserve better. A lot of times we have this empty space and we're ruminating and we're fixated on the past, or we're filled with sadness, or we think that things were better than they really were. And you're robbing yourself of an experience. You're robbing yourself of the growth. And again, back to like the 24-hour thing, but like, give yourself that chance to, when you remove things, give yourself the chance to mourn it. Of course, I'm not saying be a robot, but I'm saying we stay in these situations a lot longer than we need to, and we end up victimizing ourselves, and we think that our lives are like all fable and folly because you had to walk away from things that weren't good for you. You made that decision because you have enough faith to understand that there's better there. You see people having it, so why can't you have it? So, sorry, I'm reading what I wrote. I'm like, what did I write? But it's true, like, we fantasize a lot, and we tend to kind of start to think like, oh, the past was a lot better than it really was. It's like, just be grateful you got to make those memories where you did. You got to have those experiences, and now know that you might be lonely, you might be a little sad, you might have a little free time on your hands. Use that, use it. It's a beautiful gift, because one day if you desire this, one day you will be married and you will have kids and you will have a family and you will have a lot of responsibility. And if you get all of the things that you're asking for in this moment, if you get it, your time's going to be full. And so I would recommend that if you have this space and this free time, now utilize it to cultivate a better sense of self. Utilize it to create a better version of yourself, and a version of yourself that you love and that you're content with. My gosh. But like, use it. And so I wrote, at the end of the sentence, I wrote, redirect the energy towards, which is what I just said, but I want to make it very clear. Redirect the energy towards creating a new goal setting, visualizing, prayer, affirmations, vision boards. That's a big one. I have one next to my bed. I wake up, I see it every morning. I have two next to my bed and then one in my other bedroom. And they're just like, they're all different but similar, and I look at them and I feel so inspired, because if I forget for a second what I'm doing all this for, it's there in front of me. And if I ever feel like I'm not resonating with it anymore, I change it. I add more pictures. But really start concentrating. What is that, blood? There's blood in my notebook. But, you know, start concentrating in your mind what it is that you want to see. And really cultivate it, feed it, nourish it, nurture it. That is the vision aspect of this. You know, you take things away and you're never going to be able to get out of the loss phase or the mourning phase if you don't have something to look forward to. And so we are wonderful humans with the gift of imagination. I don't know if animals can imagine, but I'm pretty sure we're the only species with an imagination. And I'm pretty sure that's a wonderful gift that God has given us, which is use your imagination and create. And there's tools to help you do that, because some of us, we're not really that in tune with it, but it's part of being childlike, like what I said before with that limitless feeling. Utilize your imagination, really imagine what's possible for yourself. And you know, in doing that, that's why vision boards are great, because you go on Pinterest and you find things that inspire you. I love Pinterest. Whenever I'm on my little social media hiatuses, I'm just on Pinterest, like scrolling like it's social media. I comment like it's embarrassing a little bit, but I love my Pinterest boards, thousands of pictures. But it's so nice because I get a clear vision in my head of like, yeah, and not in a materialistic way either, but like quotes, ideas, you know, just hair colors, makeup ideas, books. Like there's just endless opportunities on there for you to also really like write down what it is that, like, what are these things that you want to do? Make a list. Goal setting, be really clear. Like, I want financial stability, I want to have financial freedom, I want multiple streams of income, I want to look like this, I want to wear outfits like this, I want a job like this, I want my family to look like this, I want to eat food that looks like this. I don't care, but write it down and be really clear with yourself on what it is that you want to experience. It could be one thing, it could be 20 things, but put it on paper and then go and create a vision board. Print it out and put it on paper. That's really powerful. But you also can just make a board, and that's also really powerful. And that's where, once you're clear on this, I would recommend listening to affirmations. Affirmations have changed my life. And listening to affirmations before I go to bed, or just like in the morning when I wake up, like the first thing I do, breath work. I've gotten very into breath work as of recent. I always liked it, but now it's like a big part of my routine. I do my breath work, I do my meditation. I have like when I have the time, I have like a 3-4 hour morning routine. It's very diligent and ridiculous, but I love it and it's sacred to me, and it's like a gift that I give myself. For single Sophia now, with all the time in the world, I give it to her. So I would say filling your mind with positive words. I also like subliminals. Some people don't, but I love subliminals. But have it going as you're going to sleep, because that's also the most fruitful time, because your subconscious mind is activated. You're not thinking, and so it's going straight into your subconscious, and suddenly you find yourself thinking these positive thoughts, and you're like, whoa, I didn't think like that, and now I do, and I have all this confidence. Where'd that come from? It's like magic, truly. It's but it's just science. It's there, look it up. Dr. Joe Dispenza, my favorite. I always reference him, but do it. Find inspiration for the things that you want to experience. So like for me, right, I love music, and one of my childhood dreams was being a star and being a singer and being famous and just being on a stage. And I've accomplished that in so many different ways. I've been on TV. Like, there's so many things that I've gotten to experience. I went on The Voice. I went on the X Factor. I did a lot of stuff. You know, I've been in the studio. I've made music, and now I'm working on whatever. Now we're doing things. And I would say that all of those things are things that I dreamt of as a little girl, and suddenly the opportunities started coming in because I was visualizing it and I was really excited and I saw it being possible. And so of course it's going to happen. And I would say, so recently I watched Cat's Eye, the Pop Star Academy, with like Hybe, and how they create like K-pop groups, but now they're doing it in America. But actually the girls are from all over the world, so it's an international group. I also watched a Blackpink documentary, but that inspired me because it's very real of what it entails, but it inspired me and creatively, and it just got the, like, it's not left me. I watched it maybe like a month and a half ago, and I'm still super inspired. Like, it just shifted something in me and sparked something in me. So I would also recommend, like, read book. It also reminds me of Basquiat. I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but Jean-Michel Basquiat, the artist. But people would call him out for, you know, stealing, but he was really, which also reminds me of the book I read, Steal Like an Artist, but they would say he was stealing. But really, he was taking inspiration from the things that he saw that inspired him. And so I would recommend find things that inspire you and allow it to fuel you, allow it to be creative fuel for your desires and for the things that you really, really want. So that leads me into number 3, which is inspired action. So now that you're inspired, that's great, and fill your mind with as much as you need to so that it kind of creates this fire in you. And then once that fire is in you, you're ready to take inspired action. You're ready to create. So whether it's like, you know, you want to start looking at places you want to move, even if it's like unrealistic, even if you're not making that yet, like, start taking actionable steps in your real life that you can do to create that. So something really legitimate that I actually started doing recently, I want financial freedom. And now I told you, I have like manifested, created, God gave me, whatever, a lot of financial freedom, financial abundance, I'm sorry. And so there's a lot more money than I had before. Now, I found myself very quickly, and people always say this, I was not managing it well, because even though I kind of thought I was, suddenly my savings gone. Suddenly the things I worked for gone. You know what I mean? Like, I was just spending and spending, and so I didn't have a lot of like financial discipline or literacy, even though I thought that I did. So start taking the actionable steps to create the things that you want. I actually did this last year when I would want to go and like, or if I wanted to, like, if there's things that I wanted to do that I knew were not good for me, I would tell myself, instead of spending this money on the substance that you want to use, spend that money and get yourself a book on the subject that will better your life. So I was doing that with financial books, and I bought like the 2-hour work week or the 5-hour work week. I don't know, if you know what I'm talking about, but I bought that. I bought the Rich Dad Poor Dad, like all of his books. And that was my investment for myself. So I started getting literate before I even had, you know, I started giving myself the tools before I had what it is that I really wanted, before I had the actual resource. I just started gaining the tools to manage said resource. Now, when you get the resource, it's very different because you're excited. Or when you get the opportunity, it's different because you're excited. Or maybe you're presented with more challenges than you think you're going to be presented with. So when that's the case, it's important to be literate in what you're doing. So I started being really, this is something that always scared me, but realistic with what I have. So I've created an income chart, like an income flow chart. So monthly, I have a budget. I know exactly how much I make, which it does fluctuate, but I have a range of how much I make, all my expenses, what it costs, in a flow chart, my percentages that I want to allocate to each thing, and then kind of like shows me up or down. Somebody made it. Maybe I'll link it on here so it could help somebody. But I got really like real life with it so that I could actually see how I'm taking care of these resources that I'm getting, and allow myself to then be on the track to financial freedom. Because a lot of times it is really like woo woo and grand, and we can either go on one side of the spectrum and like be like, I trust God with everything, and or like you're a manifestor and you're like, I'm fully gonna just believe in like this reality. Ow, my feet, I need to stop sitting like that. But you get really unrealistic, and to some degree you need that level of delusion, but you also need a level of reality so that you can start creating the things that you want. These things are not just going to happen, because then an opportunity is going to come and then it will pass you by because you either waste away the resource, or you don't know how to utilize it, or you think that there's just unlimited opportunities, or you're lazy and you don't do anything about it. So you need to take inspired action. So whatever that may be, if you want to be a star, an actress, whatever, start going to castings, start auditioning, watching content kind of goes into the inspiration step, but put yourself in uncomfortable positions where you're taking action and you're excited about it, because that's what I did. And then it was like one thing after the other came, especially once you're in flow, you start to see it. It's like you'll have a drought where nothing's happening, and then suddenly everything's happening, and it's because everything around you is following your lead. It's all following your lead. So, get really clear on where it is that you're trying to go, and then start taking the steps to get there. And I promise you, everything else will align with it, and God will bless it, because God loves to see us work hard and to see us use our authority and our autonomy to create a life that brings us joy and will bring others joy, because you're inspiring other people. When other people see you change for the better, you're doing God's work, the work for God's kingdom, because you're showing what's possible, and you're showing that you don't have to live in a state that doesn't make you happy. Like, not a literal state, but I did move states, but you don't have to live in a physical, mental state that doesn't make you happy. So that's a beautiful gift that you're giving to others as well. So I just want to emphasize that. Take inspired action. Then number 4, this is an all-encompassing one, but it is trust, patience, persistence, protection. Those are 4. But this is kind of like the nurturing of those desires, because now you've taken inspired action, you've gotten very clear, you've let go of the things you need to let go of, you've gotten very clear on the vision of what it is that you want, you have clarity, you have certainty, it's on paper, it's written, it's visualized, it's in here, the seed is planted. And now we're starting to do things in our real life, in our reality, to start to bring that more into fruition, and kind of like start really showing God and showing the universe, like, this is what I want, and getting clear on it, and taking the steps and showing, like, I'm passionate enough about this to like make it happen myself. So this is kind of now the nurturing part of it. And that's why there's so many words in it, because a lot of different things happen afterwards. Sometimes you're waiting, and that's the trust part sometimes, and the patience part, because a lot of times we'll find ourselves waiting for this thing to happen, or waiting for the resources, or waiting for the right time, and that with that comes trust and patience in God, and knowing like, okay, when the time is right, it will happen. A belief in divine timing. When you start having these ideas, a lot of times people will tell you, you can have anything right now, and you can, but I think a lot of why we're here and why time exists is for the journey and for the process, and I think it's a really beautiful and fun process. So I would say don't rush it, allow it to take its time, because God shocked me. Like, I don't know if I have ever brought this up, but I was visualizing for months, and then I had gotten baptized. So random, but I was visualizing for months, maybe like 2 or 3 months, and just thinking of the things I wanted, making vision boards, journaling, writing it all out. I was like, I am this, I have this, I'm grateful. I was doing all of like the I was doing all of the woo-woo-y things, like, and then I also was growing my relationship with God, and I had gotten baptized, and I, whatever, I already cursed in this video. 3 days later, it was a Wednesday, and I just remember there was this 1 hour, nothing was happening in my life for months, literally nothing. I had booked a commercial, making me a great amount of money. Again, I wasn't employed. I got 2 amazing job offers. One is the one I have now, which I had forgot I had ever applied to. It was like months earlier. Again, all in an hour. I had gotten an offer to make like $20,000 a month for the streaming thing through my agency, but it ended up kind of being something I was not gonna do. I got another job that I worked for 2 months before I started this one. That was paying me way more money than I was used to making for doing not very much. And I got to be outside in a beautiful place all day. And it was just like this hour of time where all of these blessings flew in, and I was crying because I was like, that was God. Like, that was God's timing. It was God's time in that moment. And so really trust and believe, like, it's not always going to be instant, and have faith and stop trying to manipulate time, and know that that is a tool and a resource for our learning and our growing. If you don't have it yet, you're not meant to, where trust and patience comes in. And then persistence and protection. So persistence is, sometimes you're being given these opportunities, and I'm experiencing it now, and I think we always will, where the things that you want require a level of work and discipline. And that's where persistence comes in, because you're not going to be perfect at it. I struggle with that. I'm a perfectionist. I'm like, but I want to be really good at this thing right now. But it's like, take baby steps, but be persistent. Keep going for it. Keep chasing after it. Allow yourself to fall down. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to kind of like, get a little discouraged in the process of acquiring these things. Know that whatever it is that you're getting, whatever it is that you want, you kind of desire that thing because you want, maybe not necessarily like a vacation, or I don't know, but I think anything that we want on a subconscious level, because we kind of desire the growth that comes with it. You have a level up, and that level up is never just going to be like a physical, okay, like I'm wearing this outfit and now I'm a different girl. It's like, it comes with a different perspective. It comes with a different mindset. And the new career, the new relationship, the family, like the house, that all requires a new level of discipline, a new level of self-management. You have to know how to take care of the things that you get. So don't rush the process, but be persistent and allow yourself to kind of fall down, get back up, learn your lessons, make mistakes, whatever, but know that it's yours, and have faith in that, and understand, and don't get discouraged, because I am a culprit of so many times in my life. Freaking rude, but so many times in my life I have gotten things that I wanted or I dreamt of having, and I totally had zero perseverance in me, and I was just like, well, if this isn't working, then it's not for me. And honestly, everything has all worked out for good, because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. But I will say that I gave up very easily on things. When stuff got hard, it took no time for me to give up. And a big lesson that I've learned through that process is having perseverance and having persistence, and knowing that the hard stuff makes you stronger. It reminds me of what David Goggins says. He said in an interview with, I think, Lewis Howes, but you should watch the interview. It's very good. But they were basically talking about the more difficult stuff. I wish I remembered exactly what part of our brain it is, but it strengthens the part of our brain that has to do with basically perseverance, and has to do with dopamine and joy. You should watch it, because I watched this months ago, so I don't remember exactly, but it rings a bell to me now. It's good. It is good. Summed up, it is good to do things that you don't want to do and that are hard. And so in getting what you want, sometimes you're going to have to do things that are hard. We're also capable of miracles. Miracles happen all the time. I've had miracles happen, but I think miracles are an expression of love, i.e., or whatever, A Course in Miracles. Beautiful things can happen, and maybe that's a limited, thing for me to say, that it has to be hard, but I don't want people to also get the wrong idea and then think that if something's challenging, that it's not for you, or that you're in the wrong place, because I thought that a lot of the time. And that's just unrealistic. Like, you need to have a thick skin. And it also, Sylvester Stallone said something about that as well. Like, you have to have a thick skin. People are going to tell you no. If you, in the pursuit of what it is, in the pursuit of your dreams and of getting what you want, you have to have a thick skin. It is going to take work. It's going to take discomfort, because if you already knew how to have it, you would have it. So it's going to take some learning, and it's going to take some growth. And the very, very, very last thing is, well, not the very last thing, but the last word is protection. And protect this with your life. And that kind of goes back into that, to perseverance. Protect what it is that you're looking for. You don't need to tell everybody what you're doing or what you want, because it just leaves you open to other people's perspectives, that they're all coming from their own beliefs and their own ideologies. You don't need to feed into that. And I would also recommend that you just get really, really, like, treat it like a baby. Like, it's like giving birth. It's like you're feeding it, you're nurturing it, you're taking care of, while it's in you, I guess, but you're feeding it, you're nurturing it, and then suddenly one day you're ready to give birth, and it's like, oh, whoa, that whole process was beautiful, and now here it is. The process is the best part, but protect what it is that you're giving birth to. Protect what it is that you're creating. Don't allow other people to tell you what you can or can't do. Don't allow other people to tell you what you're doing is stupid. Don't allow anybody to tell you your dreams are stupid. Like, protect that. It's yours. It's sacred. Don't leave it open to energetic, vampires, or whatever. Protect it and take care of it and nurture it. And that goes for yourself as well. Don't allow yourself to self-sabotage. Pray on it. Pray to God that you stop getting in the way and self-sabotaging your dreams, because it's very easy to do. It's super easy to do. And I have experienced it so many times in my life where I've self-sabotaged good things. It was my pattern. And it still takes time to work out of it. Even now, there's times where it's uncomfortable, and I had a month where it was just like every single thing that I had thought that I had healed from came up. And I was like, whoa, I thought I was over this. Like, I'm in this whole new place. Absolutely not. Things are going to come up. When you're in the reality that you want, things will come up, and it's your responsibility then to kind of learn how to cope with it in a way that doesn't destroy everything that you've worked for. So don't be your own worst enemy and protect things that you've worked for. And my very last sentence that I wrote, oh my God, sorry, I keep moving my seat, but I wrote, refuse anything less than the vision. If you're clear on your vision, and this isn't to say that you can't change your mind, we're humans, things change, you want different things, you thought you wanted something, you don't want it anymore, that's fine, that's being a human, but be really clear that you don't want it anymore. Don't just do it because you're giving up or because things get hard. But refuse anything less than the vision. That means you need to put in as much work as necessary to get there. You need to keep it in your mind's eye as frequently as you can until it comes into fruition. And it's okay, sometimes you focus on other things, but I just mean always have that vision in your mind somewhere as a motivator, as your fuel, that knowledge that yes, one day I will have this, one day I will do this, one day I'll experience this. I don't care how long it takes, but I will do it one day. And then you're way more open and susceptible to opportunity when it does come, because as you're visualizing, opportunity will come. You have to be bright enough and wise enough to know to take and harness that opportunity and turn it into something for yourself. And also, back to the sacrifices, but sometimes you might have to make financial sacrifices. Sometimes you might have to make sacrifices of certain comforts that you've had. Sometimes you might have to do things that you're not used to having to do in order to have this thing, or in order to kind of harness an opportunity. You trust your intuition, you trust yourself, but you need to be able to see an opportunity when it's there and not waste it, because I've wasted opportunities and I've been blessed enough to have them come back, which is why I'm a firm believer is if it's for you, it won't leave you, because I wasted so much time and I was like, I'm too busy for this thing, and then years later it was still an opportunity for me. So, but be wise. And my very last sentence is to play, have fun, and enjoy the process of growth. Actually, my very last one's fruition, but in the pursuit of seeing that thing come into fruition, in the pursuit of getting what you want, enjoy it. Play, have fun. Don't take anything way, way, way too serious. And that doesn't mean fuck it all and it doesn't matter, but have fun and enjoy it, and don't stress too much, and take your actionable steps and then kind of combine it with a level of rest and a level of filling your cup in a multitude of different ways. But really play and enjoy this opportunity to just build your frequency and grow and have, because I think the thing that gives people a glimmer in their eyes, and the thing that gives people, a sense of joy, is that they have a vision of hope. They have a vision of a bright future. They see the possibilities. They have a positive, demeanor. Those things don't just come naturally. Well, I guess sometimes they do, because I feel like I have a pretty naturally positive demeanor, but I think a lot of it just comes from you have a goal, you have a vision, you have something that you're seeing for, and it's very hard to get anywhere clearly without some kind of clarity and without some kind of vision. And knowing you don't need to know your purpose, but I would say have an idea of something that you want and give yourself some level of a track to get there. So yeah, this is maybe it's not as simple as I thought it was, but I wrote this down and I think it's a pretty clear-cut formula to getting what you want. I think it's both inspired and it relies on God, it relies on creation. It's like a conglomeration of all these different ideas, but it's very realistic. It involves trusting in God, it involves faith, it involves creation and imagination and fun and having some autonomy and having that ability to kind of have a say in how your life goes and be a creator, a co-creator. It's not overstepping God, because again, it's all in his timing and all in his will, but he wants us to create and he wants us to live. And this reminds me, maybe I'll leave you with this. I thought about this the other day and it came to me because a big thing that stifled me in my journey of creativity and living a life that made me happy was because I felt constantly subject to trying to appease something outside of myself. Instead of focusing on appeasing or approving something or looking a certain way, really take inventory of God flowing through you, of that energy that flows through you, of the things that excite you, of the things that inspire you. Take inventory of that and acknowledge that that is God moving through you, and you are meant to create with it. You are meant to do something with that, because that is our purpose. And whether your purpose is to inspire one person, or you're kind and you smile to one person, or it's to, I don't know, write a book that changes the world and you get a Nobel Peace Prize, or you're like the biggest star on earth. I don't know what it is. Or you do amazing things and you help people around the world and you give them resources and you change the world in an amazing, massive way. It doesn't matter. It's just trust that something is trying to move through you. You're not trying to appease anybody. You're not here to please people or to show off or to, live a life of abundance and luxury just because you see other people with like all these great things. Like that's an amazing part of life, is all of the beautiful luxury that it has, especially like in my career field and the things that I think are beautiful. And I think beauty is a big part of life, but understand that what's moving through you is for a purpose greater than just yourself. And even if you don't understand what that is, you don't have to, but just trust it and just trust where it's trying to lead you. So yeah, I hope that helped you guys. It just came to me and I wanted to share it. And I'm trying to just be, I'm not trying to be, but I just want to be authentic and share things that have really changed my life, because my life's changed a lot. And I want to be real about the fact that there's a lot of layers that went into it, and there was a lot of pain that went into it. There was a lot of mistakes that went into it. There was a lot of growing and healing and being confused and going backwards and then going forwards. And it was a whole thing, and it was a dance. But that is the beauty, like I said, of loving and enjoying the journey and playing. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to completely deroot every single aspect of your life on the pursuit of perfection. I just encourage you to walk away from the things that are stealing your joy, and to stop feeding old thoughts and old narratives, and really step into newness and allow yourself to experience that and be excited by it. And I know it's hard sometimes. Sometimes we're really attached to the past, or we're really attached to our circumstances, but nourish it just a little bit every day. Plant a little baby seed, journal a little bit, write a little bit, visualize a little bit, meditate a little bit, breath work, whatever. Do something for yourself. Challenge yourself. Quit a substance. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, and kind of see what comes up. Just play and experiment. Like, we are the greatest experiments. Well, me and my best friend, we always talk about this. I'm very lucky and blessed to have the best friend that I have, and we always talk about it. Like, we treat ourselves like we're experiments. We play around and we see what comes up. And she's somebody who's always healing and changing and growing, and such a great example of what it means to be a good and inspired woman who doesn't care what other people think. And I really admire her process. And I think that from myself, I admire my own process. I'm my own inspiration. I'm inspired by myself, and by all the versions of me, which is a gift. And I know not everybody feels that way, but maybe I'm cocky, but I inspire myself. And because I've been so many versions of me. And so I would encourage you to challenge yourself and try something new and get out of your comfort zone and go after the pursuit of your dreams, because you don't want to, I was going to say this before. Part of my philosophy in life is leave no stone unturned. I do not want to die thinking that there was stuff that I dreamt of doing or having or being or seeing and I didn't do it. I don't want to regret. I want to get all my regrets out of the way now. I want to make my mistakes. I want to fail. I want to exhaust all my options. I want to try new things. I want to live. I'm 26. I just turned 26. And I feel like being in my late 20s versus my early 20s. My early 20s, I was so much on like this pursuit of perfection. I felt like I had to be perfect. I felt like I had to fit all of these molds, and if I didn't, then I was failing. If I didn't, then I was making a mistake. I was neurotic about it. And then suddenly, I really feel like once I've turned 26, because I had a big breakdown on my birthday, from then, and really revisiting old habits and old situations, I've come to this conclusion, like, I'm here to play, I'm here to experience, I'm here to not judge myself, not judge others, but just to experience and explore and grow, because at the end of the day, it's a lie that you're gonna go and you're gonna be judged. You're not. You're here to play and explore and expand, and eventually one day we're all gonna return to oneness, and we're gonna look at this like, whoa, what a crazy experience it was being humans. So I encourage you, go after all the things that you want so you can experience it and you can die and say, I left no stone unturned. But I believe in you and I have faith in you and I love you guys. And if you listen to this whole thing, give me a thumbs up or something. I never asked for those, but whatever, do whatever you feel inclined to do. But I love you guys, and I'm so grateful to get to share with you. And I'll talk to y'all the next time I have something to say. Ta-ta! Oh.